morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of voice of radio. So today we've got wonderful, wonderful news. We've been waiting, ladies and gentlemen. We've been waiting. We have got our first look at a V-Star Pokemon. It is Arceus Vstar, and in a fairly refreshing turn of events, it's actually been revealed in English as well. I mean, obviously, we got a nice clear scan in Japanese, and we've had to cut the English one out of a video, and it's not perfect, and I don't even care, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even care, because, oh my word, this is exciting. It's Arceus Vstar, it's a brand new kind of card, it is a brand new mechanic, and it is something to get very, very excited about indeed. As a fun little side note, before we get into the card properly, we can see that the Japanese scan is from Sword and Shield 9 in Japan, which is as of yet unrevealed, that set, and it confirms there are 100 cards not including secret rares. And we can see that it's actually coming in our next set, which is weird. We don't have a name, but we do have a set symbol, and there are going to be 172 cards, which is actually kind of refreshing, because if we compare that to the Mew V Max that we saw just the other day, which is going to be coming in Fusion Strike, which is our next set, we know that Fusion Strike's actually got 264 cards, so we know that Sword and Shield 9 is going to be, or whatever it is, it might not be Sword and Shield 9, we don't know, but we know it's going to be a smaller set. Plus, you'll notice the regulation mark of F, which is the first time we've actually seen that on an English card, which is kind of cool. But what is V-Star? Well, I mean, we might as well start with Arceus Vstar, right? Because that's all we really care about. It's all to do with the ability. You see, V-Star Power Starbirth, once during your turn, you may search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. That is a crazy powerful effect. You can't use more than 1 V-Star Power in a game. Oh. And honestly here, right? This is a GX ability. It really is as simple as that. This is a once per game thing, just like a GX attack, except instead of an attack, it's an ability. And I love this. I mean, if we focus just on Arceus here, if we just look at Arceus, this is phenomenal. Because obviously we've all had those points in the game where it's a case of, right, next person to draw a boss's orders wins the game. Well, that's not really an issue now, is it? Like, if we're honest, because you're going to draw the boss's orders. Like, if you've got this ability down, you are going to be absolutely rolling. You just use the ability, grab boss's orders and another card, and you are off. It's a phenomenal ability. Twins was amazing because it let you search for any 2 cards. Teammates was amazing because it let you search for any 2 cards. Honestly, Computer Search only let you search for any 1 card, but it was an item card, so it was amazing. But as a ruling query here, and this is extremely important, it is an ability. And I know that sounds like a fairly obvious thing, but that means that it will be turned off by all those things that turn off abilities. So Path to the Peak, that Pokemon with a rule box have no abilities. Well, this is a Pokemon with a rule box. It's got a V-Star rule, and it's an ability, so this will be turned off by stuff like Path to the Peak, or things like Galarian Wheezing as an example. So it is important to note that it is a phenomenal thing, but it is still an ability, and will be turned off as any other abilities on this kind of Pokemon. Now, it isn't actually confirmed that V-Star powers have to be abilities. We've only seen the one. It is, I suppose, in the realms of possibility that we would get a V-Star power that's an attack. Because again, V-Star power, it's a separate part of the card, and then there's an ability. There is nothing on this card that says it has to be an ability. It's called V-Star power, and the text says you can't use more than one V-Star power in a game. Just to be clear, I am not saying there will, but I am saying that there is nothing on this card to tell us that it couldn't be an attack. It absolutely could. And as a side note, if we go back to a couple of weeks ago, I told you there were a bunch of products that were revealed, including Deck Sleeves Arceus with V-Star marker and Deck Box Arceus with V-Star marker. And that is obviously what's the case here. Now, when I told you about the V-Star marker, I told you that the only real reason for that would be to essentially mark an in-game state, as in something had been used. And obviously here, this is all to do with the V-Star power. Essentially, what we have here is a V-Star marker, and you're all going to need a V-Star marker. Remember the rule from before, even if you're not using V-Star Pokemon, you still need a V-Star marker. And then you will essentially turn that over when you've used your V-Star power, which again, we've only seen Arceus. There is nothing to say it has to be an ability, although clearly Arceus' ability here is huge. The other thing to note, I haven't said it out loud, so let me say it here for you now. When the Pokemon V-Star is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prizes, and it evolves from Arceus V. I've not said that out loud, it's been on the screen like the entire time, because I've been really focusing in on the V-Star power. These are evolved Pokemon V, and they are 2 prize Pokemon. And they have this once per game V-Star power, which on Arceus is an ability, but does not have to be an ability. So what else does Arceus Vstar do? Because again, Pokemon V Max are 3 prizes, this is a 2 prizer. Is it a phenomenal card? Obviously the ability, the V-Star power, is full-on proper job phenomenal, and I really don't think there's much of a counter-argument. It's a game-winning thing. However, the attack, free energy, 200, search your deck for up to 3 basic energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way that you like. It's alright. It's not phenomenal. Because 200 isn't enough. Now you will notice this is a colourless Pokemon, and if you add powerful colourless energy, you're now doing 220, and now that is enough. And it's colourless energy, so it can go in any deck. 200 I don't like, because you're getting stuff like Crobat and Kricketune, but you're not actually getting the majority of Pokemon V. But 220 you are, and powerful colourless energy puts you up there, and now I really like this. Because you only need it once. Like the second I attack with an Arceus Vstar, what I'm really going to be doing here is putting 2 energy on one Arceus on the bench, and a 3rd energy on another, so I'm building myself up to the place where I only ever need to attach my powerful colourless energy for the turn, and I am good. And we've always got Starbirth to search for it, but again, I think we're going to see really good players really gain an advantage from an ability like Starbirth. I think there are going to be a whole bunch of players that bemoan their luck when other people watch them play and go, mate, you wasted that Starbirth ability. You could have done so much more with it. The good players are going to get so much more utility out of this ability than the mediocre players. And I'm sorry if that sounds mean, but this is exactly the kind of ability that will separate good players from okay players. The good players will magically always have this ability available, in the same way that whenever you played against a really good player when N was legal, they always seemed to have N at the perfect time. And it wasn't that they kept getting lucky, it's that they played the game to set it up. You will see that with an ability like Starbirth. So yeah, Arceus Vstar, nuts card, 5 Wassies, absolutely adore it. I don't like that the attack does 200, not 220, though you've got to think that's deliberate on the part of the card designers. They know 220 is the key number. But then by the same token, we can also go, well, hang on a second, powerful colourless energy puts you up to 220, and that sounds just okay by me. So this is cool, ladies and gentlemen. This is cool. As a fun little side note, they did reveal Arceus V, but this should be looking kind of familiar. Because we've seen this before, but with way better artwork. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it is the Arceus V, the exact same card, that is a pre-order promo in Japan for Legends Arceus, the video game. And I told you then that it is a unique card, that we would have to get it at some point. We are getting it in whatever our next set is, and that actually leads us to another very important point. This makes it less likely we're now going to get the promo. Before, we had to get the promo. It's a mechanically unique card. Now it's an alternate art card of a card we know we're going to be getting. So, yeah. I think it's fair to say at this stage that I'm not saying we won't get this card, but I'm saying it was announced in Japan weeks ago. We've heard nothing about it since, and now we know we're getting that card mechanically, but in a different way. It does make it less likely. Incidentally, I'm not going to go into a big discussion about that card. I did that video. I'll link it in the description. The first attack is exactly the same as we see on Arceus Vstar, but it doesn't do any damage. Search your deck for up to 3 basic energy and attach them to your Pokemon V in any way you like. But it's for 2 energy, so it's a bit cheaper, but it doesn't do any damage, but it helps to set up your Arceus Vstar. 3 energy, 130 isn't really worth worrying about. It'll get the majority of non-stage 2 single prize Pokemon. It's really not terribly impressive or something to get terribly excited about. It really is there to set up Arceus Vstar, and Arceus Vstar is nuts. So, in conclusion, Vstar evolve from Pokemon V. They give up 2 prizes. They have a once per game V-Star power, and there is nothing to say it has to be an ability. I am going to see so many people over the next few days referring to them as abilities when there is nothing to say they have to be. And you've got to think if it had to be an ability, they'd call it a V-Star ability now, wouldn't they? I'm not saying they won't all be abilities, but I'm saying we've got an awful lot of evidence here to suggest that they won't all just be abilities. And it's coming in our next set, which has 172 cards, has a regulation mark of F, and it's now less likely that we are going to be getting that promo, which is a little bit sad. Yeah, this was quite a big video, ladies and gentlemen. There's a lot to unpack here, and I think we've unpacked it all. So now it's over to you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know how excited you are. I want to know how good you think Arceus Vstar is. And I want to know what other Pokemon you want to get Vstar. Mammothswine. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.